Welcome to Photography BB's Artistry Effects for Photoshop. In this tutorial, we'll look at how to use our Colorelle paint effect. This effect comes in 3 different orientation files. We have open the landscape orientation right here, and it also includes a portrait orientation and a square orientation for your artistic needs. To use this effect, it's very simple. We just follow the on-screen instructions here, which you can see already has a little bit of the artistic effect applied. All we have to do is double-click the top layer thumbnail to add our own image. So we're going to double-click on the thumbnail here, not on the text itself, but right on the thumbnail. And by doing that, we will open up a Smart Object layer. So let's double-click that. And here we have our Smart Object layer. This is where we're going to place our own image. We do that by going to the menu File, and then Place Embedded, and then simply choose an image that you would like to work with. For this tutorial, I'm going to work with this image right here. So you select your image and then click on the Place button. And then you have these anchor points around your image, allowing you to reposition or stretch your image to fill the template. Once you've decided on the placement of your image, to set the image in place, you just click on the little check mark right here, and that places the image. Now, what we want to do with this effect is we want to extract our subject from the background of the original image. So to do that, it's very easy in Photoshop CC. We go to the menu window, and we'll open up the contextual taskbar. And I like to use the Select Subject option just to make sure the selection is in fact not excluding any of the subject. This selection looks great right here. You can see we are missing, if I zoom in, a little bit of the hair right here. So if you have some of the subject that's excluded, you can use the quick selection tool right here and hold down the Shift key to add to that selection and just paint over those little areas where the selection was not perfect. So right around here as well. And Photoshop does a pretty good job once we release of adjusting that. Okay, now once we have our main subject properly selected, all we have to do now is go and click on the Layer Mask button right here, and that extracts the subject from the background. Now we do have our default background open, so we want to remove that by just turning off the visibility. Now to run the effect, all we have to do is close our Smart Object layer and click Save. So we're going to close it by clicking the little X right here, and then click Save, and Photoshop will automatically run this effect for us. Okay, and there we have our Colorelle effect applied here. Now we do have a number of different options to tweak this effect, so we're going to go through the list of options right here. We'll start in the Layers palette with the optional Control Layer group, and we'll toggle that open. And in here we have some other layer groups. We have a Tone Controls group. Let's toggle that open. And here we can play with things like the contrast, the vibrance, color shift, which we turn that on, and you can see it shifts the color tones like that for a different look, and a levels control as well. And you can make further refinements to these by double clicking on any of the adjustment layer icons, and you can see we can make some changes to the image like this. So we'll go with the default setting. We'll just close that and we'll hit undo. And we'll go back to the default. And next, we'll close up the tone controls. We have some color options. Now, always I like to include a color cast option, which allows you to add a color cast to the image, and sometimes this can have a really unique artistic effect. You can double click on this color swatch, of course, to change the color to any sort of color cast that you would like. And it's going to look different on every image. So depending on the image that you're working with, introducing a color cast will look different than what you see here. So we'll turn off the visibility to turn that off. We also have a wonderful black and white adjustment layer here. As you can see, black and white often gives a really unique painterly effect as well. And then we have our 10 included color options, which you can toggle on and off the visibility to see how these affect your image. So have fun playing with the color options group here. We'll toggle that one closed. And next we have some paper textures. And these, you can toggle them on and off to add a different type of texture to your image. And if you wanted to control any of these further, you can see this one is set at 50% opacity. We could crank that up to 100%, and you get a stronger paper texture there. But for now, we'll just go back to the default texture one, and we'll turn that one on. We'll close up the paper textures group, and that completes our optional controls layer group. Now we do have this Colorelle effect layer group here, and these are the layers that make up the entire painterly effect here. So we have the sharpness layer, which is set at 75%, and if you would like to decrease that, you can drag that down, or you can increase that all the way up to 100 and really give a sharp look. I like the look on this image. We have all these different Colorelle layers which build the overall effect. The one that we're going to focus on is layer number 6. And you can see if I turn that on and off, it has quite a dramatic effect on the image. So what I would like to do with this one here, I'm not seeing much of a painterly effect on the sweater and neck area here of the main subject, and same with the arms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer mask right here. Just by clicking that. I'm going to activate the brush tool by clicking the letter B on the keyboard for brush. And then I'm just going to paint over the areas where I want to introduce some of the paint color. Like that. And let's do it on the arms as well. Maybe on the thumb here and down the arms. And you can see we've brought back some of the paint color as well. And you can play around. See, now this one here, I'm finding that this layer group number 5 is a little bit strong in the face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer mask there. And again, I'm going to paint with black just to reduce some of that effect in the face right there. Yeah, and I think that looks really, really cool. Okay, so we'll close up the Colorelle effect layer group right here. And lastly, we have some custom background options, and this will change the look of your image dramatically. And this allows us to change these sort of background painted effects here. I'll just turn off the visibility one by one and walk through some of the different paint options that we have. That's a really cool one there. But I think for this image, my favorite is actually background number 3. So I'm going to go with that one right there. And that is our Colorelle paint effect for Photoshop. Thank you again for choosing Artistry Effects by Photography BB, and happy Photoshopping.